Welcome back. This is Frederick the Mayor. I come with different layers and I never forget to say my prayers, and I hope you don't either. We're going to get right into it. This is Big Ish bringing us the Mysonne versus Marquette debate. It gets nasty. I'm not going to lie. I watched the debate beforehand, and y'all are in for some different point of view. Mysonne is basically standing up for the LGBT community, basically explaining to Marquette that his life experiences has caused him to see different people in different walks of life and able to get their stories and be able to respect their stories as people, and that he doesn't shun the gay community because of what he learned that going around other places and meeting different people. Wow. Marquette is basically standing on the position that he's been around the world and he's been in different countries and he's met more people, and his experience is that everywhere you go in the world is not agreeing with the same ideologies of what's going on in this Western world. So shouts out to Big Ish for bringing us this content. I brung it from Big Ish because I also like his point of view as well. So we're gonna get into it.
Check this one out right here, y'all. I know it's not usual, but y'all got to check this out. If y'all don't know Mike Son, he's one of them. I think he used to be a battle rapper. Did some time in jail and all of that, but I believe he started fighting for the alphabet community, if you know what I'm talking about. And he's debating Marquette. Now, Marquette is very intellectual, very intellectual guy, man. And I want y'all to see how this play out. Check it out, man. And look, and listen, y'all gonna want to stay for this one. Check this out, y'all. Check it out.
I pretty much travel all over the world. I've been in every scenario that you can name. I've been in prison. I've been in college. I've been in the hood. I've been in the White House. I've been in every boardroom.
Damn, you
Any
been in the White House?
Yeah, I've been
Tell
any
us. Would
pretty
you
much.
mind telling us about that?
Well, actually, I didn't go to the White. They locked me out. I was invited to the White House, but they
Okay.
wouldn't let me because of my
I ain't
color.
even got an invite, bro. They ain't
So
even
yeah,
invited me. You
I
heard
got
me.
invites, but they took me off the list because of the work that we're doing for the in the community for anti-violence. So we actually
well, you better than me because they damn sure ain't invited me. I don't think I'm gonna get an invite, but I just want to give you your respect on that because it's very prestigious. Carry on.
yeah. So I've been pretty much around the world and I've learned, right? So when they say as a boy you think as a boy, but as a man you think as a man. So what happened for me is that I started to learn different things, right? So I grew up of like you said in the communities where we thought certain things, where we outcasted the gay person, we outcasted the people that weren't like us. We felt like we were dominant over women, right? And then I started to watch women make decisions that made more sense than the men that were supposed to be in control. I started to watch women actually, when we look at our communities and black men are in jail and they're leaving the women out here, the women at home taking care of the kids, and the so-called leader, because of his emotions, because somebody stepped on his shoe, was shooting a dude, and his wife said, "What are you doing? Why would you go out there and shoot him?" Right? The woman was smart enough to know that that was the dumbest thing in the world. We weren't able to do that. So I started watching.
We weren't able to do that. Now you got to understand my son's background. He come from the background.
Now, my son has a real point here. Coming from the hood and seeing some of the stuff you go through, going to jail yourself, learning certain things, looking up to people and then not looking up to them anymore, looking for other people to find inspiration in. It's like you begin to come to a point in time where you just want to find what works and what's going to help you build your family up and build who you are up. And I think it becomes so much less about the other community, the other average family next door to you. Like they don't matter as much as your family, the people that you want to raise and you want to be a part of their life. So my son is basically saying that you live your life as you want to live your life, but I'm not going to judge you based on how you live your life, and I hope that you don't judge me based on how I live my life. And his experiences change his outlook on how he looks at people from the LGBT community. Y'all let me know down in the comments, does my son show growth with the way he has changed his point of view about the LGBT community, or is he just taking on an ideology that he absolutely knows nothing about? Because sometimes we can take on indoctrinations that we don't know nothing about, and we later on figure out that that's not really for us. But that's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother video. We're gonna continue to go back into this.
Why men need to hold women up like God or something like that. Nah. We men and women do work with each other, and women do have points. They do have intuition. I believe that wholeheartedly. But where he take it to is a whole nother level. You know what I'm saying? And you got to understand the environment that he come from. Dudes wasn't right in their head. They was not right.
Women make decisions that were beneficial to the family and to the community. And I started to listen to women and started to see that my life was moving better than I was listening to overly emotional men who thought that their ego meant they had some level of power.
What about the fact that over emotional men that my son might have been listening to was people that was raised by women in single homes? A lot of times women did make decisions based on not going out to do something, not harming anyone in that way, form, or fashion. But a lot of times, if you really pay attention to women's nature, they tell you things based on their own protection, right? So a woman, of course, she's gonna tell you not to go out there and shoot, fight, and do things that's gonna go to jail because at the very end of the day, it affects her livelihood. Y'all let me know in the comments, men, women alike. Let me know. Would a woman make her decision based on her livelihood and make a good decision based on her instincts? Because a good decision is a good decision. But I just like to find a biological and scientific basis on where we get the information from. So, y'all let me know about that in the comments if y'all got any information on that. I'ma let the video continue.
Power. So I understand that there was a balance, right? So I understand that I needed a woman who had the intellect and the foresight and the emotional intelligence to tell me that my ego should not supersede my intelligence. So that's what became a partner
I agree with that wholeheartedly. Men should not be driven by their emotions, overly driven by their emotions.
for me because she possessed things that I needed for me to be great. And I possessed things that amplified her to amplify to grow to where she was. So it was a partnership. It was no hierarchy for me. So those are things that I learned. I also learned being around gay people. When I was so anti-gay, I never even talked to gay. When you start having conversations with gay people and start understanding that they're actually human beings. So
Where
when
were you talking to these people at?
I was in prison.
Now watch how far this go. This wasn't the debate wasn't even supposed to be about this. Now watch how you going. You know how you let somebody speak for a long time. You understand what they're really thinking about. What's on their mind. We're gonna continue. I ain't gonna do no more pausing.
With gay people, right? I was in the street with gay people. I
But
grew
yeah,
up.
but you don't really not supposed to hang out with the punks like that. Like, were
But you
you
don't
like?
have to hang with the punks because most of the punks in jail are more thorough than the dudes that's
No,
not
the
punks.
punks. No, I agree with you
Yeah,
on
so
that
that's what
one.
I'm saying.
I
So
agree
when
with
you
you on
start,
that one. But what I'm asking you is like
I'm
you were
explaining to you. So when you in the
okay.
yard and you watch somebody come up and disrespect the punk, and the punk punch him in his face and beat him up like a man and have a conversation, you like, oh, this, and you now you having a conversation. He like, yo, listen, bro, I didn't choose how I am. This is who I am. If I could like women, I would love to like women. I just don't like women. The same way that you feel about a woman, I feel about a man. And just imagine if they made a law right now that said that you can't be a heterosexual man, and every heterosexual man gonna die. It's gonna stop you from wanting to have sex with a woman. Is it gonna change anything about
Would
you?
you? Are you asking me
I'm just
rhetorically, or
answering you
would you
that
like me to
question.
answer the
I
question?
want you to answer that question, and I want you to go into. I just want you to answer that question.
I will answer that question. I will go straight to jail because I was born heterosexual.
Thank you,
Conversely,
and that's it.
homosexuals are not born
Okay.
gay.
But see,
There's a study from the Johns
okay.
Hopkins
But the
University
thing
says
is,
that there's no genetic evidence,
okay,
so they're lying.
okay. So if that's what they're lying, but what I know people who have
Anybody got any information? I'm gonna go look that up. John Hopkins University saying that there's no evidence based on anyone being born part of the LGBTQ community. So if y'all know anything about that, let me know in the comments. But I think this is a real intense debate. I think my son is probably getting caught up in ideologies and views rather than facts and real points to drive home. Y'all let me know. But this is interesting, and I'm gonna let it continue.
committed suicide because they was gay. So
That's
this is
because
what
they
I'm
were
saying.
mentally
Okay,
ill.
okay, so
They're
whatever. So,
mentally ill.
so they're born mentally, whatever it is. If you're born mentally ill, then you're born gay. If you're born mentally ill, if you're
No, they're
born
not
with a
born
mental.
mentally ill. I didn't say that.
Okay, so what I'm trying to explain to you, this is me and you are having a conversation from a perspective that neither one of us can speak about because neither one of us
No,
are
I
gay.
can't speak about it because
We
the data
can't
is very
because you're
clear. The
talking about
data
no, no.
indicates that there's no genetics, meaning they weren't born that way. The
They
research
had
indicates
data. They
that
had data.
they're 3 times more likely that they were abused as a minor
They had
sexually.
they had
That's what
data.
the data says. Why don't
What I
you
want
respect
you to
the
say
data?
is it's not that I don't respect the data, because I just don't all the way respect the data because there was data that said that our brains were smaller than everybody. They
No,
had
the data prove
listen
that
to what
because
I'm saying,
Frenchmen have the largest brains on earth in
but listen.
Southern Africa.
So, but they said that data said that we were naturally inferior to everybody. We didn't have the intelligence. Everybody they had data to prove it. They had data throughout history. They had data that proved.
He said that they have data that proves that we
Y'all let me know in the comments. Is there any data proving that black people, African American people are less capable or inferior to any race on this planet, data wise? Any college institution saying anything like that? Anything that's not theory and fact based, y'all let me know in the comments. We could go research that. Leave me a link, please. I'll talk about it. I'll do a whole video about it actually. So, um. My son is basically saying that they had data and evidence that said we were less than a man. I heard the three-fifths of a man, and that was in the Constitution, but I don't recollect any data about it. Y'all let me know. We're gonna keep going though.
are naturally inferior to everybody else. Bruh.
That we were 3/5 of a man. So I'm just trying to tell
They
you,
didn't have data to prove
there
we're
was
three
data.
fifths of a man, but why
They
defend?
He said they have data to prove that we're 3/5 of a man. Bruh.
had
The
science
Skittle
first.
guzzlers, like this is
I'm not defending.
this is against our
What I want you to
population growing.
understand is, all I want you to understand is, I'm not gay, and you're not gay.
Wait,
So therefore,
you've never had any sexual experience or
never,
contact with a male?
never, ever in my life. So what I'm trying to explain to you is,
Okay, then why are
is
you defending it so hard?
because what I'm trying to explain to you is that when you are humanitarian and you understand that each human has his own individual, right? I'm staying on my individual.
He said, why are you defending them so hard? Remember, my son came from fighting with the BLM movement. He was always down with the BLM movement. Now, I ain't here to judge. We just here to react to it. But if you know, you know. With that movement, if you know, you know. You know what I'm saying?
I want everyone to be the full version of them. And if two men love each other, that's their thing. I don't care about what that man wants to do with his penis. I love women. There's nothing that I could ever see that would make me attracted to a man ever in my life. So there's no reason.
What
So
about, is there something that your son could see, like your 2-year-old son could see that might influence him in an unfortunate way? You feel okay if your 2-year-old son is seeing this?
I don't feel okay. That's why I'm raising my son. I don't have a 2-year-old son. I have an 11-year-old son, a 14-year-old son,
I
and a
understand that.
27-year-old son. And I've raised my son as men, right? So that's not a thing that I'm worried about because I've raised them in the tradition of manhood. And if for some reason that's not what they grow up to be, then that's what they've done. It's not my situation. I'm still a heterosexual man and gonna always be a.
I'm
So
just
listen.
tripping.
So you're tripping because there's an
No, I'm tripping because you said you were like indifferent, but you're really an ally. Like
no,
you're a
I'm not.
promoter of that
But,
stuff. It's crazy. Like you're going hard for them right now.
but
Like
this is
that
where the
hurts
problem.
me.
So the
That hurts
problem,
me.
you giving me you. The thing is that you
Yo.
had a conversation, right? And you made.
Do y'all feel that my son is promoting instead of advocating? It's a slight but very big difference. And when you're advocating for someone and defending someone rather than promoting them and their lifestyle or whatever the case may be. So y'all let me know. I just feel that Marquette is picking his spots well to even be like dead bass comedic, if y'all know what that means. Like to just have that like dry comedy to slide it in there. Like, why you defending them so hard? You know what I mean? But I do think that my song coming from his demographic being from the hood and getting experiences he got and getting the most out of those experiences allow him to see the world through his eyes and through his experience. So I don't think that Marquette is given enough of the background of Mysonne, enough account in this debate. And that's my personal opinion. Y'all let me know in the comments how y'all feel. This is Frederick the Mayor.
All of these things, and you said, you're saying this because of this, and you're doing white women, and I'm explaining to you why I don't have any white woman ideology. I'm explaining to you why I have lived life experience, right? And when you have lived life experience and you have conversations, you're around people of different ethnicities, different sexualities, and you actually listen and you learn.
I think his lip is in the way, bro. He's notice when he talk, he be trying to tuck his lip in, bro. Bro, you is not avoiding that lip, boy.
Because you're intellectual and you actually want to learn from somebody, then you learn something different. I don't have to agree with someone's lifestyle for that to be their lifestyle. And that's the conclusion I came to. I came to the conclusion that me agreeing with your lifestyle does not make it not your lifestyle. It doesn't change who you are. So that's what I came to the conclusion as. I'm a heterosexual man. I surround myself by heterosexual men. I'm in the circumference of heterosexual men. I'm raising my children in the tradition of heterosexual men. I have 3 sons, and I'm raising them to be heterosexual men.
Marquette is basically saying, why are you defending the people that you're not basically a part of their community? You don't represent their community. My strong position is, well, I'm raising my family this way. This is how I am. Coming from my community, I can't be ruffling the feathers of people that could put me in positions that could help me potentially better my own family. So you got to understand that this is relevant to our community in a way that how you want to raise your children. How do you want your children to be presented to the world, and what do you want them seeing on television? What do you want them to do? Like I said, I have no opinion in the matter. I don't got a dog in the fight, but I want y'all opinions. I want you to let me know how y'all feel about this because we got two different perspectives. We got somebody who's a business owner in multiple countries. And then we have somebody that comes from the projects, from the urban demographic, who probably made most of his money by having jobs and actually working for people. So we're talking about two different people with two different experiences, with two different perspectives. So let's keep that into account as well. I don't totally disagree with every point that Mysonne is making, but I ain't gonna lie, Marquette is definitely opened my eyes to some of the ways that people could easily be deceived in this manner. So I'm gonna continue and let them finish this debate out.
But I cannot tell somebody else what to be with their life. So when you have this conversation saying, well, you wouldn't have said this 20 or 30 years ago. No, because I didn't have the lived experience and I was only
Or
going off
were you
somebody else.
black
Listen,
then?
listen, listen. I was going off somebody else's perspective, right? And most people's perspective, and the people I was going on their perspective never left the Bronx. They never was in proximity of anybody else outside. They never even had a conversation with a gay person. So they didn't have an
That's probably
understanding of
better for them.
I mean, maybe it is. If that's your perspective. Cool. You don't want to me personally, I want to learn from everything. I want to understand. I want to listen to you. I want you to give me your perspectives. Because if I have your perspective, then I can give an educated prognosis of what actually I'm dealing with. If you feel like you don't want to do this, cool. I don't have to. But I understand the reality that we're dealing with. So what I'm saying is my ideology and the things that I believe are off my own lived experience. Nobody has ever taught me. I don't have no white woman. None of the women, no woman in my house even liked white women. My grandmother hated white women. My mother hated white women. So they didn't share the ideology of the white woman. They were anti everything. So when you come with that, it's so confusing to me, and I take it as a form of disrespect to me because there's nothing in close proximity to me that even equates to white women liberal. There's nothing in close proximity. I've learned, right? I'm probably one of the most educated people in my family because I've learned and I've experienced things that the average person did. And we'd have different ideologies today. Me and my brothers may have a different opinion about certain things, but my opinion is based off my own personal experience. So please stop equating any opinion that I have or thought process I have with anything that has to do with a white liberal woman. Because once again, I don't have anything to do with a white liberal woman, and it's disrespectful.
I understand why there is confusion because what I'm saying is novel. It's an idea that very few people have heard. I say that black women are liberal white women, and there are many other demographics that are liberal white women. And when I say this, it's the first time people have heard it, so I have to unpack it. And so I get that it's just shocking because it's the first time you've heard it. But what you describe as your education and your experience.
You gotta know your history in order to know what he's speaking about. You know what I'm saying? So do your history before you start judging and you know being like, oh, he don't know what he said. You gotta know, yeah, you gotta understand what he's saying.
Is often it's not education, it's indoctrination. And so when you leave your community, your village, your tribe, your culture, and then sometimes you get move up a little bit socioeconomically, the whites start to groom you into different ways of thinking and being, the liberal whites, because they're the ones who want to go in your midst. Conservative whites are outright racist. Many of them, they don't even want to be around you, but the liberal whites will get around you and then they'll try to turn you from a black person into a liberal white woman, and it happened without you even knowing. For example, I think it's peculiar that we have such little respect for ourselves that we think when we leave from around where we grew up, from the Bronx, from Los Angeles, from Compton, from Chicago, and we get around all these liberal white folks, now we figured out the world. Now we can see, now we understand. No, no. Now
I never
you've been
said liberal
exposed
white
to
folks,
great levels of filth and indecency and
but once again,
degeneracy.
you've
So
been
what
exposed to different cultures.
what I would like
How
to
you
say,
how
as
you
one who has
expose
been
yourself to
exposed to
different
many
cultures
cultures,
inside
and
the same place
I
that
didn't talk while you were talking again, sir.
You know when you getting cooked, when the person you debating start talking and you don't want to let them talk. Under you know you getting cooked, bruh.
I did not talk while you were talking, sir. I understand what you're saying, and I have the good fortune
And you tucking in that lip is not gonna work either, boy.
that I too have been around many cultures. I filled up 4 passport books. I've been to more countries than anyone I know. And maybe more than most of the people you know, including the politicians. And I probably know a lot of the politicians that you know. You know, I know your mayor, Bloomberg, who was mayor for some time, billionaire.
See, we gotta unpack this because you gotta know your level and you gotta know what level you on. So when you, it's almost like Zip with the drip, and when he was arguing with Antoine Daniels, it's a totally different level. You know what I mean? Zip, he had a bunch of things to say about it. I think Hassan kind of cleared it up for the people that come from the hood that we shouldn't be acting that way when we got people that could actually educate us. Sometimes you gotta sit and listen. You could learn something, man. You can become a better person and actually control your own dollar a lot better. So I think that Marquette is basically schooling my son on different ways and different ideologies of different people in the world. Everybody doesn't agree with the way things are ran here. So I think my son, being that he's from here and this is where mostly all his experiences come from, he is not able to fathom that in a way that Marquette is easily able to see that. It's levels to everything.
I know a lot of the folks you know, ones who have run for president and failed. That's how I know they're wicked. So when we talk about going around the world and
Ooh.
getting cultured, well, let me talk about the world. If you travel through the 54 countries of Africa, that's a hell of a lot of countries. You could fit America, the continent,
Yep.
North America. You could fit Europe and China in the continent of Africa. That's a lot of countries.
Yep.
And
Yep.
overwhelmingly, they say that to live that lifestyle is filthy and unacceptable. You go through the Middle East, which is rising up rapidly, UAE and Dubai and Abu Dhabi and Saudi Arabia and Qatar and Oman. They all agree that kind of behavior is destructive for the public morality.
Yep.
Huh?
Yep.
You go to
Yep.
Singapore. The architect of Singapore, Lee Kuan Yew, says, "Oh, this doesn't seem like a good idea." He's a pretty.
This how they get you to agree with them in the beginning. When guys start saying, yeah, look, long as they keep it over there, they ain't bothering me. Listen, it's gonna trickle over to you, bro. It's gonna trickle right over to you. Them other countries still stand on their morals, bro.
smart guy. You go to China, they have entire policies against what they call the lady boys, the effeminate males, and they try to push off the culture that has been popularized by those South Korean pop singer bands where the guys look like girls. And that all started with an Asian immigrant in America who was very wealthy and used to fund these people and make them look like females or children, young boys, because he was a pederast. Huh? Now, here's the
Mm.
funny thing, there's only one place you can go on the planet Earth. There's only one group of countries you can go to on the planet Earth will they tell you where they tell you that a man laying with a man, oh, let it go. Woman laying with a woman, live and let live. That would
What place is that, y'all? What place is that?
Y'all let me know in the comments. How do y'all feel about what Marquette is saying? Is America and the United countries with America that share American ideologies like some of the Western European countries and some of the South Korean countries and countries of that nature? Where else are they promoting and supporting this? Y'all let me know down in the comments because I don't know, but I will do research based on everything in the community. So if y'all send me a video, y'all send me a link to anything, I will go check it out. I'll even do a whole video about it. So y'all just let me know. Make sure it's informative. Make sure it's something that could bring us together and help us so that we could learn something. Because a lot of times I see stuff on YouTube and it's just not putting any substance into the brain. It's not allowing the brain to work and actually maneuver so it could get to some answers. So what I'm trying to do is provide a different perspective and give people a different angle on how to look at things so they can actually use their brain. And who knows, you may be thinking of this and think of something entirely different that you may have been working on because that's how the brain works. It's like a connective energy, it's a battery. And you have to know how to recharge it and you have to know how to use it when it's charged and when it's in use. So that being said, I just feel like this is a debate behind whipping and a masterclass by Marquette. And I just feel like even though my son has some very, very good points, I don't think he's presenting them in a way that's gonna probably lean the people towards him winning this debate. Now, as far as information is concerned, do I feel like my son is totally in the wrong for how he views the world? No, because his experience was very different, and how he had to come up and get his dollar, and how he had to develop was very different from Mr. Marquette. And Mr. Marquette seems very disciplined. He seems like he had a strong father in the home. He seems like he knows a lot, and he seems like he's no nonsense and he doesn't really give people any slack. And I might be my downfall. I always give people slack and I always want to see the best in people and I always try to give them the best. But that could be a weakness sometimes. Sometimes you gotta just cut it where it's at and cut the truth where it's at because you could drag yourself through a lot. And he is dragging this man through this debate. But shouts out to Big Ish for going to find this. This is good stuff.
be Western Europe, not even Eastern Europe, Western Europe, where the people are loose and slack and sick. They're perverts. That's a Western European sickness
Mm.
that you have caught as a black African or as a black human. That's not our culture. That's not the culture of the red man. That's
He
not the
said you
culture of the
caught it.
Arab. That's not the
You
culture
caught
of the
it, boy.
black.
Bro,
That's the
you
culture of the
you
liberal
just said,
Western white
but the
person.
thing
Again,
for
you're
me is
interrupting me. I didn't interrupt you.
because no
I
no
did
because
not
you're
interrupt
telling me
you.
because you
This is
are
time number 5.
not
And I
because what
always
you're
warn the
doing.
audience when that truth start getting out, that's when they
Uh-huh.
That's
start
not true
interrupting.
because once
Uh-huh.
again you're telling me what I've been infected with.
I
Like
know
once
what you've
you
been
have
infected
no,
with
you
because what you
don't.
tried to say,
You
one
don't.
second, what you tried to say is that once one gets experience and they get exposed to different peoples and different cultures, then all of a sudden they think that it's okay for a man to go up another man's backside
That's
as
never
long
what
as
I
it's
said.
not bothering
But that's not
anybody.
what I
And
that's
I
not
just
what I
told
said.
you
That's what
that
you
I've been
said.
to more countries than I can name. I've
Mm.
lived in foreign countries. I've opened
Ah.
businesses in foreign countries. I
Ah.
have more experience than most of the politicians you probably are getting paid by. I know the world.
Here we
No
go.
one can lie to me about
You
this
see, this is what
world.
I'm saying.
I
For
God damn! Oh my God!
Wow, he called my son out. Yo, y'all let me know in the comments. Do y'all think that my son is getting paid by politicians to kind of push this narrative? We all know that my son was supporting the Black Lives Matter movement. He probably earned a lot of money dealing with the Black Lives Matter movement. I'm not bad talking my son. I have never seen my son do any direct corruption to the community as far as he's been home and being an advocate. We know his history before that, going to jail, being locked up, catching robberies and stuff, and that's the life of the Bronx. So it took my son a longer time to get his life started and get got it going. So again, that also limits his experience as opposed to Marquette, who was probably traveling the world at 20 something years old. My son was doing a jail bid. So again, I just feel like Marquette is well versed in knowing the ways of this country and the ways of what's going on in the United States of America. I mean, outside the United States of America as well. And he is breaking it down and he's laying it out there. And he's even called my son out for working for politicians. Y'all let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment. This is Frederick the Mayor.